Good morning, everyone. This is something different that I'm doing, and I don't know how many people are going to hop on, if anyone's going to hop on, but I thought it would be fun to kind of just hang out for a little bit, talk study skills. If anyone has anything that they want answered or anything that they want to discuss while I get ready to head out to a coffee shop and work on a few things. So I'm going to hop over to YouTube so that I could see the comments. Let's see. I don't know how this is going to work. All right. Oh, looks like we have one live viewer, but it might just be myself. Oh, we have two. Hello. Whoever is on live, hello. This is just something that I'm doing kind of spur of the moment. I'm getting ready and I don't want to hang out by myself, so I'm going to hang out with you guys. So we can talk study skills, we can talk life, we can talk anything that you want to talk about while I sit here and do my makeup. So the first thing I've already done, in case you're interested, is I've already primed my face with this Benefit Stay Flawless 15-hour primer, and I'm just going to put on my foundation now. I actually have to go grab my mirror. All right, so I guess I will talk a little bit about who I am for anyone who's like hopping on and you've never been on my YouTube channel and you're kind of browsing the internet. My name is Clarissa. I help busy college girls get better grades without the stress, overwhelm, and lack of social life via my course, Rock at College, which is actually going to be relaunching January 23rd. If you're interested in that, you can go to rockatcollege.com. And part-time, I work as a registered nurse. I work on a telemetry floor. I am 28, and when I went to college the first time around, I went to college with the intention of going on to medical school. I was a bio major, pre-med, because that's what you do when you're going to go to medical school, right? That's what you're taught. You have to major in biology or chemistry or something like that, right? Go the whole pre-med route. And I had graduated from high school, second in my class, but one of the things that I do like to mention is that my high school was not very competitive. We didn't have AP courses. We didn't have like some, it wasn't like a college prep high school. It was an inner city high school. It was very small, and I did well because I did the work. That was all that was required, was for you to do your work, hand it in on time, and you would get decent grades. And because I'm a Virgo and I like to keep on top of things and I love planning, I got good grades because I did what I was supposed to do in school. I was a teacher's pet. I was really a sweet kid. I always did what I was supposed to be doing. I always did what I was told. And yeah, that's how I ended up getting the grades that I got. So I got into every college that I applied to. And I thought, honestly, that I was going to completely kill it at college. I was going to rock it. I was going to be as successful as I was in high school, and that turned out not to be the case. I had a very rude awakening when I went to college and I took my first biology and chemistry courses, and they were going over information that, according to the professors, I quote unquote should have learned in high school. Now, again, my high school wasn't competitive. We didn't even have chemistry. I never took it in high school. So everything that they were saying was like way over my head. And I ended up passing biology with a C, but I failed out of chemistry. Failed right out of chemistry. I took it a second time and I passed it. But then when I went on to chemistry 2, I failed that. I failed out of physics, and I failed out of calculus 2. So I cried a lot, and I ended up switching my major. from biology and pre-med to health policy after my advisor told me that I just did not have what it took to make it in the healthcare field. I wasn't smart enough to go on to medical school. I didn't have the grades to go on to medical school, and I should just go a different route and become a teacher. And now I'm very hard-headed. I'm very confident. I very much don't like it when people tell me that I can't do something. It makes me want to prove them wrong. So what I did was I wanted to deliver babies. So I found another way that didn't require me to go on to medical school, and that was to become a nurse and go on to become a midwife. So that's what I did. I knew I had to take a lot of the science courses that I had failed out of. So I spent an entire summer courses, entire summer semester just learning how to learning study skills, learning how to apply the study skills, learning everything that I could possibly learn on how to get better grades, because I didn't want to fail out of nursing school the same way that I failed out of becoming a medical student. So that's what happened with that. So I ended up passing all of my nursing prereqs with a B+ or higher. I actually got all A's except I got 1 B+ in anatomy. And I then went on to graduate nursing school with honors. And this was, again, after having failed out of a lot of the same courses that I had taken when I went to college the first time around. I ended up graduating nursing school with honors. So now what I do is I teach college girls the same study skills that I used and learned and applied and found really worked, so that they can do the same thing. A lot of the girls that come to me are trying to get into nursing school. They've failed multiple classes. Are not doing as well as they hoped they would in college. And a lot of them, just like me, did really well in high school, but they're finding that college is just a different ball game and they don't really know how to approach it, and they're not feeling smart. They're feeling really inadequate. They're feeling like, I don't know, there's something different between them and the kids that are succeeding in college. And I'm here to tell you guys that honestly, there is no difference between you and students that get straight A's. The only difference is that they have developed really good study skills. That's it. They know what works and what doesn't work for their classes. They know what to look for, but it has nothing to do with their IQ. It has nothing to do with how smart they are, and it has nothing to do with how smart you are. It really just comes down to having the right systems in place, having the right strategy to succeed in college. That's really all it comes down to, and practicing it over and over until it sticks, until you have it down pat, until you've created your own system to really just succeed in college. And every student that is getting high marks, that are getting A's and B's, they're using the same strategy as every other student that's getting A's and B's. They just have learned how to learn. They understand that it's not about memorizing information, it's about understanding information. They know that in order to succeed in their classes, they're not just going to be reading their notes over and over, but they're really going to think critically about the information. They're going to think like a professor. They're going to think like they are the ones writing the exam, and they're going to quiz themselves on the information. And they know how to read properly and effectively, so they're not wasting their time. And that's all of that I learned through trial and error, through doing a lot of research and using myself as a guinea pig in my classes, and applying those same strategies that I saw every other successful student do. And I'm telling you that it works. There's a foundation that you have to follow. I feel that there's a foundation to study skills that you have to follow, but then from there you can tweak it to every single class that you're taking, and you can tweak it to your own personal learning style, your own personal way of taking notes. But essentially, the key pieces are all the same. After that, it's just about adding your own personal pizzazz and your own personal style to it. But it really just comes down to having the right systems in place. And I'm actually going to be talking about that in a webinar that I'm going to be doing here on YouTube called the Creating Your Study Skills Blueprint. I'm going to go over the 4 systems that I think that every college student should have in place if they want to really rock it at college. And that's going down on January 23rd. So if you want to pull out your planner and write that in. It's a Saturday. It's going to be at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I think that's 8 a.m. Pacific. But if you're interested in that, go ahead, write it in your planner now. It's going to be here on YouTube, where I'm going to have the chat going just like how I have it going now, so you can ask all the questions that you want. And I'm basically going to walk you through how to create your own study skills blueprint, your own study skills strategy using the four systems that I think that every student should have in place. So I want to hear from you guys. Where are you from? Those that are watching live right now, what is your name? If you want to type it in the chat. And where are you from? And if you're a college student, I love to know what your major is. Normally I have music playing while I'm getting ready, but I didn't want that to interfere with me chatting with you guys. So again, if you're watching live now, what is your name? Where are you from? And if you're a college student, what is your major? I think the chat is going, so, but I do think that there is a slight delay. Hi, Ogeen. Ogeen, thank you so much for joining me live here. How is your semester going? Because I know you're taking an accelerated winter course right now, and I kind of want to know how that's going and if the strategies that I gave you. Hi, I'm Jasmine. I start college. I'm a freshman and my major is nursing, so you are an inspiration to me. Jasmine, okay. So tell me, are you taking your prerequisites right now? So you're taking like biology, anatomy, chemistry, and all of that? I'm assuming that that's what you're taking if you're a freshman in college and if you're in a 4-year college or university. And also, what made you decide to choose nursing as a major? I'd love to hear what inspired you. It's going great. That's awesome. Have you taken any exams yet, Ogeen? And Ogeen, honestly, the professor that you have is amazing because I love the fact that she gives you guys like that outline so that you know exactly what you should be working on. A lot of professors need to start doing that. A lot of them don't do it. And that's one of the things that I actually teach in my course, Rock at College, how to create your own weekly plan for how to rock it on your exams and your projects and all of that. You know what, guys? I think I am going to put some music on. What do you think? Is that going to interfere with us chatting? Or do you want to kind of have it in the background? So Jasmine says, I'm actually in community college. That's where I went for nursing school, to community college. And they haven't started me off with the science courses as of yet, but math and English so far. Yep, that's exactly how it went for me, Jasmine. And so you had a midterm, Ogeen. Awesome. And I'm assuming, because you said it's going great, that you did amazing on that. Ogeen is actually one of the college girls that I had been working with one-on-one. So I'm like obsessed with her. Hi, Clarissa. My name is Chris. I'm a college student in Sweden. Oh my God, that's awesome. My major is political science. My semester starts next week. Your videos have helped me a lot during my last semester. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. That makes me so freaking happy that you use my videos. So you're a political science major. My brother actually went to school down in North Carolina, and he went down there for a music scholarship, and he was, I think, a minor in political science, but I don't know too much about a political science major. So tell me a little bit about the classes that you take when you are a political science major. And I am putting mascara on, and I shouldn't be. I need to put my eye makeup on first. Miss Comby asks, and so your name is Chris, not Miss Comby, so I'm going to call you Chris. You said, I have one question. How do you keep yourself motivated? Yeesh. I get this question a lot, and I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of college students struggle with is keeping themselves motivated in college. And I honestly wish that there was like some magic pill out there that would automatically give every student the motivation that they needed to stay on task and to do their homework assignments, to do their studying, and to do their reading. But a lot of it really comes down to whether or not, like, how much your heart is in it. And for me, it really came down to proving to myself that I could do this, that I could get the grades that it was that I wanted. I had a vision for myself. I had goals. I didn't want to let myself down. So having a big why, and a deep enough why. So for me, it was not wanting to feel like that dumb student that I was when I was a bio major, I cried a lot when I was a bio major because I felt stupid. I felt like I wasn't at the same level as every other college student. I felt like I was literally the dumbest girl in college and that I would never succeed in life. And because of that, I would never have the job of my dreams. I thought that my dream of becoming an OBGYN and working with pregnant women and delivering babies was completely squashed after that college experience. And that was the reason why I always did what I needed to do when I was in nursing school. That was my motivation. Wanting to prove to myself that I could do this, that I could be successful, and that I could achieve my goals. That was my biggest motivation. And from there, it just became easy. I'm not saying that there weren't times where instead of studying, I was watching Netflix or hanging out with my boyfriend or hanging out with my friends, because it happens. We're human. But at the end of the day, I found little things that helped me, but really what it came down to was how badly did I want it. And if you don't want it bad enough, if you're not in a major that you enjoy, if you don't have a goal and a vision for yourself of why are you doing this? Why are you in college? What is the whole purpose of you being here? And you're not truly connected to that, I don't think that it's easy to do the work and to do the things that you have to do to get the grades that you want. And like, that is such, I know it's not the answer that you wanted. What you wanted was like a step-by-step formula to getting yourself motivated. But if I'm keeping it real with you, like, we're best friends and I'm just being honest and truthful, what it comes down to is how bad do you want it? And that's all I have to say about that. Actually, no, I will give you some things that I did to help, because I did a lot of the times get distracted when I was studying. So some of the things that I would do is I would turn off my phone. I actually would text my boyfriend, I'm going to be studying from this time to this time. Can you please try to avoid texting me? And actually, I'm going to be turning my phone off, so you're not going to be able to contact me. I would go out and leave my house, because if I stayed home, the TV was always going to win. YouTube was always going to win. And everything else besides studying was always going to win. I would find anything that I could find to clean just to avoid studying. So I knew that I had to get out of my apartment if I wanted to get the work and get the reading done and, get the studying done. So I would go to the library, and the only things that I would bring with me were the things that I needed to study. So my phone was off, or I left it in the car, and I only brought in with me my books and my notebook. That was it. If I needed to use the computer, because a lot of the times I look up YouTube videos that explain concepts, I used an app called Self-Control. It is a Mac application, but I think that there is a Windows equivalent, but you have to look into that because I'm not sure what the Windows version is called, but it's called Self-Control, and it allows you to block certain websites for certain periods of time. So I would block YouTube, I would block Facebook, and what else would I block? I think those are the two major things that I would always get distracted with. And so with that application, no matter what you do, it doesn't allow you to go on to those websites until the time frame that you set is up. So you can't even go into the app and turn it off. It's like once it's on for those 2 hours, 3 hours, however long it is that you're studying, you can't access those websites. But you have no choice but to study, because every time I tried to type in Facebook, It was blocked, and I couldn't even distract myself. If I wanted to give myself a break, I would walk around the library. I would go and walk outside. I would do something, but I wasn't allowed to go on those websites. So those are some of the things that I did. Another big thing for me was setting mini deadlines for myself. So if I had an exam that was a month away, I would start thinking backwards from that exam, and I would give myself due dates like, okay, by this time I want to have chapters 5, 6, and 7 read and outlined. And then the following week, I would give myself another plan. By this time, I want to have X, Y, and Z done. And it would lead up until the exam, so that by the time the exam came, I was fully 100% prepared. So much so that I wouldn't even study the night before an exam. I would completely take it off and just chill and hang out and do whatever it was that made me feel enjoyable. Did the chat freeze, guys? Because I'm not getting anything. Ooh, let's see. Or it could be that you guys are just not typing in. Let me refresh the page. Oh, it did freeze. Okay. Yeah, that app is really amazing, Olgeen. It's called Self-Control, and I know that there is a Windows version of it. I don't know if it's by the same company. I just know that there is a Windows version because I know a couple of my friends are using the Windows version because they don't have MacBooks. So yeah, so that's what I have to say about motivation. Do you guys have any other questions about study skills or how to stay motivated, how to stay on task, procrastination? Again, I'm just getting ready. I'm going to head out to a coffee shop in a little bit to work on videos for this upcoming year. So I'm going to be outlining the videos, coming up with topics. So if you guys want to help me out with that, what kind of videos do you want to see? Lauren Massing, hi Lauren, she says, what methods of studying are most helpful, like reading the textbooks or quizzing yourself with flashcards? So ultimately, what I think is most effective is and how to avoid procrastination. So ultimately, what I think it comes down to is knowing exactly what the professor is testing you on. And that information you can usually find in the syllabus. There's going to be like an outline or objectives that state what you should be learning in the class. And that'll give you a guideline on what is actually going to be important in lecture and in your reading and in your assignments. So I always start with the syllabus and the objectives. And then from there, you know what you should be looking for. So the best way to study is to quiz yourself on the information, because this is how I put it. How do you know what you actually know if you don't ever test yourself on it? So one of the mistakes that college students make is that they read over their notes over and over again. Some students even read the chapter multiple times, and they make the mistake of thinking that because something is familiar, so just because you go through your notes and you say, oh yeah, like, oh, I remember reading that, or I remember reading this, you're not actually remembering it. You're just familiar with it. You've seen it so many times that your brain automatically is like, oh, okay, I've seen that before, I've seen that before, I've seen that before. But I bet you that if I were to ask you a question about what you read, you probably wouldn't be able to tell me. And I bet you that a lot of you are saying, I will remember that come exam time. But then when you get to the exam, you don't remember it, because you make the mistake of thinking that just because something is familiar, because you've seen it multiple times, that you're automatically going to recall it. And recalling is different than remembering and recognizing. And one of the ways that I like to explain this is, have you ever run into someone who looks familiar to you and you can't pinpoint where it is that you've met them or where it is that you've run into them before? That is what being familiar and recognizing something is. There is a difference between knowing. So if you were to run into that same person and you can recall their name, where you met them from, that shows that you have stored them in your long-term memory and you can recall who they are and you understand them. You understand where you've come in contact with them. There's a difference between being familiar and knowing. There's a difference between being familiar and knowing. And that is the mistake that I find that a lot of college students make, is that they read their notes over and over, and they think that just because they're familiar with the information, if they read it and whatever, that when it comes to exam time, they're going to be able to recall word for word what they just read over 1,000 times. And that's not the case, because most professors don't ask you questions word for word. They're going to ask you to apply the information. So if you've made the mistake of just memorizing, you're not going to do as well. So Chris says, well, we study everything human conscious to the fundamental start of civilization, all the way up to how the world looks like today. It's really interesting. Thank you so much for your explanation. You're welcome. Oh, thank you so much, Chris. Thank you. And I had, so as you guys know, I'm a nurse. I work on a telemetry floor part-time, and I'm fairly new as a nurse. So I've only been a nurse for a year. Actually, today was the day that I got pinned as a nurse last year. So, Jasmine, I'll get to your question in a second. So, yeah, so I've only been a nurse for a year. I was working in a clinic. I wasn't working in a hospital for a little bit of time. But anyway, I'm just going off on a tangent now. So yesterday I was in the med room with another fairly new nurse, and we were talking about my hours at work, and he was asking me, so do you think that you're going to pick up hours here because you're only part-time? And I told him no, because I work with girls online and I tutor them. And so he says to me, oh, so you were that kind of a girl in college. You were the smart girl in school. And I literally laughed out loud, because I just had to, because guys, my IQ didn't change. Like, my brain is still the same from the girl that failed out of all those bio majors, the girl that failed out of all those failed out of the chemistry, failed out of the physics, failed out of the calculus. My IQ hasn't changed. So how did I go from failing all those science courses to freaking killing it in nursing school? It wasn't that I got smarter. It wasn't that I was so familiar with retaking classes over and over again that I had to pass. It was that I finally figured out how to learn. I finally figured out the study skills that make A students. And it's the same study skills that I teach in my course Rock at College. And I want you to know that you failing classes has nothing to do with how smart you are. And I want you to know this, because a lot of the times, and I did this, we attach a grade to who we are as a person, and we let it define our success. We let it define who we are as people. And it has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with it. So I want you to know that if you failed a class, if you failed an exam, that class doesn't define who you are as a person. When you're 90, no one's going to give two shits about what you got in biology. They're going to care about the person that you are. They're going to care about the experiences that you've had in life that have made you who you are, not what grade you have. And I'm here to tell you too, no one has ever asked me in any interview what the hell my GPA was in college. No one has asked me what grade I got in anatomy. No nursing interview that I have had has asked me where I graduated in my class in nursing school, or whether or not I got A's or B's or C's in nursing schools. All they cared about was whether I was licensed as a nurse and what characteristics personally I was going to bring to their organization. That's all they cared about. They didn't care about any of that other bullshit. They didn't care about my grades. And that's what I want you guys to understand. Yes, if you want to go for those high marks, if you want to go for B's and A's, go for it. But I'm here to tell you that a C is just as good as an A if you are happy with your life, if you're happy with your grade, and if you're happy with who you are as a person. So I'm here to give you study skills. I'm here to help you achieve your college and your academic goals. But ultimately, what I want you to understand is that you are so much more than a freaking number, a freaking letter grade. You're so much more than that. That is not all you are, okay? So whew, that was like a super, super like long tangent, not what I intended to talk about at all, and not where I was going with the whole topic. But what I wanted to say was that my IQ didn't change. I just learned how to learn and I learned how to study. That was it. That was the only change that I made. So Big Pretty says, "You're the best. I'm glad I found your channel. My name is Samantha from Atlanta, Georgia." Hi, Samantha. "And I'm going to college for nursing." Awesome. What level are you? "I'm currently taking Anatomy 1 and I am overwhelmed for real. The professor I'm taking it's so picky about drawing in lab. A few other students that took her and taking her again. And they warned me, what should I do because I'm feeling overwhelmed by the amount of I have to do for lecture and the drawings for lecture." Okay, so anatomy is a tough course because it's a lot of information and it's coming at you fast. That's the thing with anatomy. It's a lot of information and it comes at you really quickly. The best thing that helped me with anatomy was staying on top of the assignments, staying on top of the readings, but also getting in the lab was a huge help for me. A lot of colleges will leave the lab open so that you can go in. So if you can go in there and take a look at the skeletons that they have, the muscle models, the cats, the cow hearts, if you can go in there and get familiar with that and quiz yourself on like the different, like, pick out a vein and try to identify what that vein is. When you're in the shower, I was just talking to another person on Periscope. I was doing kind of something like this, a live study skills type of thing, and he asked me the same thing about anatomy, and I told him, when you're in the bathroom and you're taking a shower, like freaking point out your boob and like try to name the muscles in your boob, and like point to your stomach and try to identify the different organs that are in the left upper quadrant or the left lower quadrant. Any opportunity that you can quiz yourself, do it. Point at different bones. Have your significant other, your boyfriend, a friend go with you to the lab and have them point out a muscle, and they can have like a book that actually gives them the answer and have them quiz you on that. You have to get in there. If they're going to be testing you on drawings, then go talk to the professor and figure out exactly what they want on those drawings, what you need to know about those drawings. Professors are your best friends in college. Guys, they write the exam. They know what's going to be on the exam. So they know the best way to study to get a good grade on their exam. Do not be afraid to go to them and ask them questions. They didn't become teachers because they wanted to see how many students they could fail. If you didn't know that, I'm telling you right now. Professors didn't become professors so that they could fail the most amount of students. They did it because they wanted to teach the information that they know most about. A physics professor became a physics professor because he wanted to teach physics, not because he wanted to see how many students he could fail in his physics class. So if you honestly go to their office hours and you say, listen, this is what I'm doing to study for your class and it's not working. What can I do differently? What are you actually testing us on? What would be the best way to get a good grade in your class? They're going to be more than willing to help you. They're going to be more than willing to say, here, this is what I found the most successful students in my class are doing. Have you tried this? Have you read this book? Have you gone to tutoring? And when you go to tutoring, have you done X, Y, and Z? They're going to tell you everything that it is that you need to know to be successful in their class. But I guarantee you, you haven't taken the time to go and talk to the professor, to go to their office hours and ask them very specific questions. In my course, Rock at College, I actually have a whole list of questions and I have a whole preparation sheet on how to actually get the most out of your professor and get them to tell you how to succeed in their class. I need water, but I'm actually drinking a shake right now. Guys, this is fun. I want more questions. I love talking about this stuff. And if I get loud, it's because I'm so passionate about this. Like, I wish that I could go to every single one of your colleges and every single one of your dorm rooms, and I wish that I can sit with you in class and help you get the grades and help you dissect what it is that you should is important and isn't important in lecture. And I wish I can sit with you and be your study buddy and show you how you can do this too. If I did it, then you can do it. Tips to avoid procrastination. So I was talking about this earlier because it kind of goes hand in hand with motivation. The biggest thing that you have to have is a big enough why. You have to really understand what is it? Why are you in college? Why do you want this? Why do you want to get good grades? If you have no attachment to that, nothing I'm going to say is going to help you at all. Nothing, because you are not attached to the outcome. You're not invested in it. You don't want it bad enough to do what it takes. So first of all, the first thing that I would say to you is ask yourself, why is it that I want to succeed in college? What is my ultimate goal? Why is it that I want to get an A instead of getting a C? And be honest with yourself. If you don't care about getting A's, don't make goals to get A's. If you just want to pass college and learn as much as you can about who you are as a person or about your major, and what you care about most in college is making connections and networking, and you don't really care if you get A's, don't strive for that, and create your study plan or your study blueprint around getting C's or passing the class. And with that, you're not gonna have to study as hard. So you might just have to figure out what are the main ideas, the main points to pass the exam. So the first thing is, why do you want it? First thing is, what is your goal with college? A lot of students go to college because they feel like they have to go to college. But honestly, have you ever sat down and asked yourself, why am I in college? Ask yourself that question. Why am I in college? And what do I want to get out of college? What is my purpose? What is my goal here? If your goal is to land a job after you graduate, you need to ask yourself, do I need to major in this particular subject to land that job? A lot of the times you don't. And this was a mistake that I made. I thought that I had to be a bio major in order to go on to medical school. I didn't. I just had to take the prerequisites. So I could have freaking majored in theater and my GPA would have been much higher, and I probably would have enjoyed myself so much more than being a bio major, but I didn't know that. No one was there to tell me that I didn't have to major in that. So what do you want to get out of college? What is it? Are you just there to pass classes? Are you there to land a job? Are you there to try to hopefully land a really good internship? Understanding what your purpose is, why you are going to college, it's going to help you understand what your personal path is, what your personal study method is going to be, and what you focus your attention on. So once you figured that out and you created your plan, then it comes down to, how bad do you want it? And what is it going to take? And do you want it bad enough to do what it's going to take? And if you run into situations where you're distracting yourself from your goal, if you're running into situations where you're procrastinating, you need to ask yourself, why am I procrastinating? A lot of people procrastinate because they're afraid of failure. Other people just have no idea where to start, so they get so overwhelmed with projects and exams and all the reading assignments that they don't know where to start. Some people procrastinate because they are distracting themselves for the sake of distracting themselves, because as humans, we crave pleasure, and it feels better to watch Netflix and eat pizza than it does to study for an exam. So you're going to do the thing that feels good over the thing that doesn't feel good, because we are hardwired as humans genetically to go away from things that feel painful or don't feel good, and go towards things that feel good. So if that is your issue, then you need to put systems in place. You need to put practices in place. You need to put habits in place that will prevent you from procrastinating. So if you find yourself, my best friend is in grad school right now, and she finds that instead of studying, a lot of the time she ends up watching shows on Hulu and on Netflix. So one of the things that she does is she leaves her house, she leaves her apartment, and she removes herself from the distraction so that she doesn't procrastinate. If you procrastinate because you have no idea where to start, then what you need to do is sit down with a blank sheet of paper and write down everything that needs to get done. And then you need to break down everything that needs to get done into the simplest thing that you can do first. The simplest thing that you can do first. Because the hardest part of getting started on a project is getting started on a project. And usually it's because the project is so big that you get overwhelmed. So break it down. Break it freaking down. If you have a 10-page paper, you want to know the first thing that you can do that's so easy? Figure out what the paper is about. There, you knocked one thing off the list. Figuring out what needs to get done. And then after you figure out what the topic is, what's next? Okay, well, do I need to find research on it? So that's another thing that you can do. Then, who's going to help me find research on it? If you're not good at researching, hello, use your research librarian. Use the research librarian in the library. That's what they're getting paid like $50,000 a year to do, is to help you research things. Have you ever used them? So you have to figure out what is causing you to procrastinate. And then you have to put systems in place to combat that. She said, Ogeen said, that's a good way to study out of your comfort zone. Guys, I'm going to go grab some water. Just give me a second, okay? Okay, I'm back. Jasmine asked, tips for getting through math and science when you are horrible at them. Okay, Jasmine, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, why do you think that you're horrible at science? I'm going to sit here and put my makeup on while I wait for you to answer that question. Why do you think that you're horrible at math and science? And for those of you who jumped on like just now, is it next Saturday? Yes. Next Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, take out your beautiful planners that I know every single one of you has, because if you watch my YouTube channel, I know that you have a beautiful planner. Take out your planner right now and write in Saturday, January 23rd at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which I think is 8 a.m. Pacific Time. I'm going to be hosting Create Your Study Skills Blueprint. It's like I'm doing like a free workshop. So I'm going to help you create your study skills blueprint for this semester. So again, that was Saturday, January 23rd at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And it's going to be just like this. There's going to be a chat going. I'm going to share with you the 4 systems that I think that you should have in place. I'm going to help you create your sanity schedule in college so that you know exactly how much free time you have, you know exactly when you should be studying. And I'm going to share with you the 4 systems that I put in place to go from a failing biology major to a nursing school honors graduate. So again, that's January 23rd, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's next Saturday. So right now I'm waiting for Jasmine to tell me why she feels she's horrible at math and science. So Jasmine says, I think I'm horrible at math and science because I can follow along for so long and then I just get lost and I never know which step I get lost at, and retaining info is hard for me. Okay, Jasmine, so you kind of answered what you need to do in order to get a better grade in math and science. So the 2 things that are important in math are knowing the steps to solve a problem and knowing when to use those steps to solve the problem. If you can understand that, math is going to be easy for you. So if you are doing so at the beginning of lecture and then at some point along the line you get lost, in your notes when you're sitting in class, create a star or highlight exactly where you got lost. Because what you can do is then take those notes and go to the professor's office hours, and you can pinpoint exactly where you got lost. So if you don't know, you said that I never know which step I get lost at. If you are in lecture following along with the professor and you're paying attention, then you can pinpoint where you're getting lost, and you can go to the office hours and have the professor then follow up with you at that time. Chris says, I'm working on the 23rd. Will you put up a video on it, or will the workshop be available on your website? So I'm going to have a replay for the workshop, but it's only going to be up for 24 hours. So if you're not on my email list, you're not going to get it. So to get on my email list, what you can do is go to bit.ly/cramsheets. So I'll type that in because I think that you guys can see my comments too. So let me do that. bit.ly/cramsheets. I'm typing that in for you guys. And when you do that, you're going to get my 4 Get Better Grades cram sheets, and also you'll be on my email list so that when I send out the replay, you will get it. So if you can't make it live on the 23rd, which I suggest that you do because then you can ask loads of questions, but if you can't make it on live, then you can catch the replay. Jasmine, did I answer your question? So I'm just going to recap for you. In math, you have to understand the steps that it takes to solve the problem. And then you have to know when to use the steps. So it's not just about following steps. You need to understand the equation. And you need to understand when to use certain formulas, when to use certain steps. Okay, great. So Jasmine said I did answer her question. Great. Any other questions? I know we're starting to dwindle down in live viewers, so I don't want to stay on here if you guys don't have any other questions or are not getting any value out of this. I'm here for you. It's like having your own personal tutor right now. All right, so I'll chat then. So I just started working on a telemetry floor in a hospital. Numina Rose Bay just asked, how do you avoid being distracted during studying on the computer? Ogeen, bye. Thank you. You have a good weekend too. The way that you avoid being distracted while you're on the computer is by getting an app like Self-Control that blocks certain websites so that you can't go hop on Facebook when you're supposed to be writing your paper. Now, Self-Control, I think it's only a MacBook application. I was talking about it earlier, but there is a Windows version. I'm just not sure what it's called. But blocking websites that you normally go to when you're supposed to be writing a paper or reading or whatever it is will help you tremendously with that. That's what I use because I watched a lot of videos in nursing school to help me understand concepts, and I would end up somehow on like the Saucony Jolie's or some vlogging channel instead of watching the videos that I needed to be watching. So I ended up just blocking certain things. You're welcome, Namina. What's your name? Is that your real name, Namina? How many of you on here are science majors? I got this mascara, and it's awesome, but the name rubbed off, so I can't even tell you what it's called. It makes my lashes so thick. I barely have any. Numina Rose, that's beautiful. Oops. So one side is like a primer, I guess, and it is supposed to make your lashes thicker and longer. And then the other side is just a mascara. So how many science majors? So Jasmine wants to know, did I transfer to a senior college once you finished up at community college? Bye, Lauren. Have fun at work. You're welcome. Jasmine, no. So I actually did the reverse. I went to a 4-year college because I was going to go on to medical school. But like I said, I failed out of a bio major, so I switched to a health policy major. So I went to a 4-year college, Providence College. And then I had a lot of loans from that school, so I applied to an accelerated nursing program at another 4-year college here in the state of Rhode Island where I lived. And because my GPA was so low from when I went to college the first time, I got denied from that nursing program. So it was an accelerated nursing program where I would basically breeze through nursing school. Instead of going through a 2-year nursing program, it was just 1 year. But their requirement for GPA was a 3.5. And because I failed out of the bio major and out of all those classes, obviously my GPA was nowhere near that. So I had to figure out, I could either apply to other schools, which would have been a lot of money, or I could go to a community college. So I chose the community college route because it was cheaper. And that's how I ended up at a community college. So you take the same exam as a 4-year nursing school. So why not save yourself money by going the 2-year route if you're just going to take the same exam? So I did not transfer to a 4-year college. I got a bachelor's degree in health policy, and then I went to community college for my nursing degree. My boyfriend, though, did do community college for 2 years to save himself money, and then he transferred to a 4-year college for the last 2 years, which I think is a smart way to go, especially if you don't know what you want to major in, because then you can just do your prerequisites at a community college, save yourself money, and then when you figure out what you want to major in, you can then switch over to a 4-year college. I think that's a really smart way to go, especially if you don't know what you want to major in yet. So that way you're not spending, thousands and thousands of dollars on a college degree that you then end up not liking, and then you have to change majors and all that. So, yep. Do you guys like this? Because what I was thinking of doing is actually doing one of these like live type of things once a month, or maybe once every 3 months. And if you guys are enjoying this, then I will do this more often. I wanted to kind of test the waters today. So Jasmine, you're trying to get into NYU or Hunter College since you live in New York. That's awesome. Go for it. So you're trying to switch over for nursing? Numina Rose wants to know, how do you schedule free time when you're studying all day? Because I feel like I'm always studying, and sometimes I would like to hang out with my boyfriend / best friend. Numina, girl, you need to get yourself a sanity schedule. So make sure that you're on the workshop next Saturday, January 23rd, because I'm going to walk you step by step on exactly how to create free time in your schedule to hang out with your boyfriend, to go hang out with your friends, to watch all the Netflix that you want, and still have time to get freaking amazing grades on your exams. So again, just come on the webinar, because I'm going to have you guys bring your planners. We're going to actually physically together create a schedule for yourself. So it's create your study skills blueprint. It's going to be Saturday at 11 a.m., January 23rd. Make it on live if you can, and if you can't, there will be a replay, but you have to be on my email list to get that replay. And the way you get on that email list is by going to bit.ly/cramsheets. So that's bit.ly/cramsheets. Farida, yay, I'm so glad it's helpful. So I will definitely then add this in my planner, and I will kind of like figure out where I want to do that. Yes, Namita, it's going to be right here on YouTube, just like this. So you'll be able to ask questions in the chat and all of that. Jasmine, yeah, I want to get my bachelor's, but my long-term goal is to get my master's degree, maybe even a doctoral. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, so I'm going to go on to midwifery school in like a year. So that'll be a master's degree, and then that'll be it for me. My hope is to travel as a midwife to underserved countries and just offer my services as a nurse there and help women that don't have access to healthcare deliver babies in a safe way. Because a lot of women die giving birth in other countries, and I want to help prevent that. So what I would suggest, Jasmine, is get all your prerequisites done in community college for your nursing degree. So your sciences, your maths. I think you need statistics if you're going into a 4-year nursing program or 4-year college. So get all of that done in community college because it's going to be so much cheaper for you. And then apply to the 4-year programs. Oh, thank you, Jasmine. Yeah, I that's always been my goal, is to just be a nurse because I love it, not to make money from it. So I cannot wait until that happens. I'm actually looking into a mission cruise ship that ports in different countries, and it's basically a hospital on a cruise ship. So it ports in different countries, and everyone from that country can come and get free dental services and free healthcare services. So they have some temporary placements. I know that most of their placements are 6 months or longer, but I was talking to one of my friends, Amanda, who has worked on cruise ships all her life. Her mom is actually one of the executives at, I think, Princess Cruise. And she was telling me that they do have some shorter assignments if I was interested in that. So I'm looking into that to see if that's something that I can do possibly at some point this year. Guys, tell me about yourselves. What do you guys want to be? So we had a political science major on here. And I think her name was Samantha, if I'm not mistaken. No, Samantha was nursing school. My political science major was Chris. Chris, if you're still on, what kind of a job do you want? What do you want to do with that major? So Namina wants to know, how do you form a study group when your friends are slackers? If your friends are slackers, don't study with them. That's for sure, number one. What I did was I asked people in my class, I asked all the smart kids if I could study with them. I asked people who were like me. You can send an email out to your class members and ask them that you're trying to host a study group. Trial basis. If it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, then we don't have to meet together anymore. And just try to keep it down to no more than 4 people. I think that big study groups don't really work that well. If you can keep it more intimate and stay with that same group of people all semester long, you're going to see the most amount of success. I studied with 2 other girls in nursing school. the whole 2 years. It was the three of us the entire time, and it worked out good because they had strong suits, I had strong suits, so we complemented each other really well. They were always on top, and it kept us on task because we would meet always before the exam, but one of our requirements was that every single one of us had to already study. If we didn't come prepared, if one of us was unprepared, that person would not come to the study group. They would not come to the study group because they weren't prepared. We would not meet unless all of us had agreed that we would do the readings, we would have our notes done, we would have studied on our own. And when we got together, it was just rapid fire questions like, tell me this, tell me that, name this, etc., etc. We would go back and forth, and I loved it because by the end of it, I knew what I was weak on, and that I could go back and finish and really make sure that I had that information down packed. So, but if your friends are slackers, one, don't study with them, and I would recommend that you study with the people that are in the same class as you. Yeah, Jasmine, I definitely want to get on that cruise ship. So we'll see if it's available, if the time frame is going to work out for me, but that's the plan. All right, guys, so I am done getting ready. The only thing I have left to do is to dry my hair, and it's going to be really loud, so I don't want to do that while I'm on here. So I am going to end this now, but I'll answer this last question that came through. I am an auditory learner. Do you have any tips for my type of learner? Jasmine, I believe that no one person is just one type of learner. I feel like learning styles do exist, and there are there's one type of learning style that is our dominant learning style, but ultimately I think that in order to get the best grades and to learn the information and have it stored in your long-term memory, you have to incorporate all three types of learning styles. So visual, auditory, and kinesthetics. But what I would suggest for you, if you're an auditory learner, the best thing for you is to go to lecture and to listen in on the professor, because that is going to help you a lot, hearing the information. And when you're studying too, you're going to be very susceptible to sounds and noise and the way certain people say things. So when you're studying, if you can say things in a funny way or in a particular way, or if you can think, oh, this sounds like this, that's going to really help the information stick more for you. And if you want to, you can also record lecture and listen back to it. I don't find that is as effective as actually being there in person live in lecture. And also when I'm studying, I try to make up things. Like I'll say things really funny and like really funny accents, or a lot of the times I'll compare it to Spanish, which was my first language. So if it sounds like something in Spanish, that helps me remember it. But you're going to be very susceptible, if I can pronounce that word, you're going to be very susceptible to the way things sound and how you say them and when you hear them. So even if you can make up words or say a sentence in a sing-song type of way, that's going to help you remember that information because of the fact that you're an auditory learner. So that's the last question that I'm going to answer. Thank you guys so much for spending your morning with me and allowing me to sit here and talk about what it is that I'm passionate about and help you with your study skills. It was a lot of fun, and I'm definitely going to be doing this more in the future. Bye.